Hi, this is Don Coscarelli, and welcome to the home movie segment of the Laserdisc. I'm sitting here with Reggie Bannister, who's been kind enough to join us.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Don. I don't like to miss home movies. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, hopefully we won't bore the audience out there with them.
No, this is great stuff. And I remember this all this stuff in the White Room was, it was kind of House of Pain stuff for me. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no question about that because, a Phantasm movie isn't a Phantasm movie if we don't have Reggie hit the deck numerous times.
Got to hit the deck numbers. Absolutely. Yeah. And glad to do it, Don. Thanks.
There's a little behind-the-scenes work that can show how he did some of the effects with this flying through the. You can see the mirror set up for the space gate.
Smoking. Oh man, I remember this.
1, 2, 3. Now we were trying to achieve the effect of the space gate collapsing upon itself in some kind of interdimensional time warp,
and sucking me into it.
That was the plan. Now we were doing this the low-tech way, where we had you wired up to a couple of ropes there on your feet.
And every grip in the world. Throw a canister at Reg. Yeah. I got hit a couple of times, actually.
You got nailed right on the head one time, I know for a fact. But we used a wind machine and pulling on Reggie's legs and a lot of good acting on your part.
Well, thank you, sir.
To make it seem like you were really being sucked back in there. This stuff looks a little hokey here, but on the film, it looks great. We actually had a video tape recorder. This was quite ahead of our time back then, a very primitive one. We'd watch the takes afterward, save film.
Yes. Tommy's funeral.
Yes.
Alas, poor Tommy. I remember him well. He was actually my lead guitar player, if you recall, at the time.
I know. Actually, I mentioned that in the earlier commentary about his desire to die in a film.
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah. Well, there's Angus waiting for his call. Mike really led the life of Riley on this film as a young kid, having access to this dirt bike, hot car.
God, can you imagine? I mean, shooting the .45, just like, what kid wouldn't want to be in his place?
I should say. Here you can see some of the choreography that went on. We actually, it may look like we were just winging it, but we really practiced these things out and tried to, work them out to maximum advantage. These films were shot by a young man named Michael Gross, and he was our sound man, actually.
I remember Michael.
And we provided him with the Super 8 film, and so every day he'd get his little camera out, and when he wasn't doing sound, he'd shoot the footage.
He did a terrific job.
Yeah, he did.
He really did.
Here you can see one of his scenes where he actually does a POV, puts the camera in there, and lets the boys...
like the Bugs POV, right? Yeah.
We should have done that in the film. This is how we used to motivate that CUDA crew power.
Yeah, there you go. That's about 10 grip power, isn't it?
Yeah, it worked well until about the 6th or 7th take.
Ye old ice cream truck. I used to drive that, remember?
I remember.
I mean, besides in the picture, I drove it home a couple of times. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have told you that.
Well, now here are our high-tech special effects in action.
Yes, indeed.
Nothing that a little rubber and a fishing line can't handle. Talk about in your face.
Man, it looks great,
Yeah, well, quick cutting, good acting. That's all it takes. There's Adele Lustig, our wonderful production coordinator. And here we are at Sunnyside Mortuary.
Ah, yes.
Fresh caskets, ready to go.
Fresh caskets sounds like a song. I'm inspired. Give me my guitar. God, did he love getting in those caskets or what? Jeez.
What a deal. Yeah, we shot at Sunnyside down there, and Reg, now you actually ended up getting a job after the film was over.
The most amazing thing, Don. I needed a day job at the time. I was playing a lot of music, And I answered an ad that was in the paper. It turned out to be driving a truck for a floral delivery. It turned out to be Sunnyside's flower shop.
Wow.
Boy,
Well,
I ended up
you got a
doing
lot
some
of
interesting
I was
things
going to
there.
say, you learned a
Yeah.
lot about that
Uh-huh.
business, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Like, how do you push a coffin into a crypt?
Hey, well, I can do it. I'll tell you that. I have to show you sometime, Don.
They had some beautiful caskets there. I was just surprised to learn that, you could actually buy them. They were hermetically sealed. There's a little,
Yeah. Yeah,
shut them
that's
and
right.
they just, no
That's
air,
right.
no nothing gets in.
Ah, Dunsmuir.
Yeah.
What
Well,
a
this
beautiful
house has a
place.
long legacy of use in motion pictures. It appeared in the film Burnt Offerings. It was
Mhm.
also in A View to a Kill, the Bond picture.
Right. The Lady in Lavender.
Yeah, she was.
Kathy Lester.
We used the Panaflex camera on this film, and even though we had very limited resources in terms of money, this was one thing that we, from the outset, decided to devote some funds to, and I think it paid off in the long run because I think that the image quality is really held up well, the lenses were really good, and the camera movement was solid.
You bet. Even on a no-budget film, there's certain things that you cannot, you just have to go for it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can't subtract from your production that way. Boy, we were up at that location for, was it 2 days or 3 days
Yeah, it was
straight,
an
pretty
intense
much?
2-day period, yes. These are some shots from the little warehouse where we shot the bulk of the picture. One half of it was devoted entirely to the mausoleum on the left over there, and the other half we used for various purposes like overturned ice cream trucks and shooting sequences with the Volkswagen. We used a lot of cobwebs in this film.
A lot of webs. Yeah.
That's Mark Schwartz, our first assistant cameraman, laying out the cobwebs. He also helped build that mausoleum. There were no real lines of distinction along crew lines like in a regular film on this.
No, there really
everybody
wasn't.
did everything. The actors lugged equipment, as
Yeah.
did the director and the
Yeah.
producer. This sequence involved the puppetry of the fingers, and if you take a good look in the next couple shots, you can see underneath the landing there is where the puppeteers worked, and they used this mirror here sitting on this person's lap. It's kind of an optical illusion to see what was going on up on top. You can see them watching puppeting in the mirror there.
I think all the effects came out really nice.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
everything was so organically done, like we're talking about thread and wire and,
Right.
Mixing up yellow stuff, trying to get the right consistency, using milk at first, right, in that
Oh, yeah.
mix. And then that milk would spoil it. It just smelled
The
terrible.
place would stink.
Oh, God. Ah, Dos Equis.
Yes.
We sucked down a few of those pups, huh?
Quite a few. We bought that little makeup trailer there where you guys always had your makeup done, and
Yeah.
we towed it around to whatever the location was, and it was sort of the only little spot of warmth or place to hang out in between shooting.
Was that the rent-a-casket there?
Yeah, that's it. That was our casket. And we're back in the mausoleum set. You can actually see off the mausoleum wall there. That mausoleum we really put to good use. I mean, we were able to shoot a big chunk of the picture there.
Oh, that was a beautiful set.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, it
really
looked
was.
so real.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicely done. Here's a couple of the crew members. Steve and George are standing in for Mike and Bill in one of the sequences. You can see how strongly that mausoleum set was built because we could actually mount the camera up on the walls. You can't do that in a regular Hollywood set, let me
No.
tell you.
That's right.
Bill never could quite get the recoil right, on these blank guns, because if you watch it now in slow motion, he shoots, but then
Yeah.
he recoils like a second later
Yeah.
sometimes, and it's...
Well, that's kind of tough, with the blanks, because there is no recoil, of course. That one looked pretty good.
And there's Myrtle.
There's Myrtle.
She was the boy's housekeeper, and just had that one little sequence with you.
Yeah, it was a great little scene, too.
Yeah, it played well.
Kind of a shock scare.
Yeah, out of nowhere, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, here's the door being blasted off.
Yeah, and you can see the way that we did this is Paul Pepperman, we had him suited up with a motorcycle helmet there so he wouldn't get injured, and he'd grab onto those handles on the back of the door, which was not attached. The hinges were taken off. And on action, he'd just dive forward and fly towards the camera and then land on his back and pull the door on top of him so he would stay hidden.
Look, it looks great.
Probably cost you $10,000 of a real special effects.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is the scene you can really see where Angus was grooved into his role. I mean, he really took that role of the tall man seriously, didn't he?
Boy, you know, always. Always.
Here's a funny shot, the crew sleeping in the back of the hearse on the way up to location.
Boy.
Oh, God. There's that big wind machine. I think that had a 100 horsepower Volkswagen engine, and man, that thing could really put out some wind.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
But this was kind of a painful scene here, too, because actually I think Michael was in front of the wind machine throwing pebbles. I know I got hit more than a few times.
It must have been freezing in front of that thing.
Oh.
I mean, it was a cold night, and then you got that wind chill of 100-mile-an-hour wind.
Oh, it was so cold. And then, of course, Kathy is like in this, you know, real light lavender dress, you know, very sexy looking, but...
I still want to know what you're thinking about there, Reg.
I'm probably not thinking much, Don. That was about the 21st hour of shooting, I think.
Oh, my God. These are some of the Red Planet sequences. We painted one of the walls of the mausoleum red, and we used to blow some smoke up alongside of it, and that's how we got those sequences.
And this is the world's first Steadicam.
Well, certainly one of them. That was like the year they were invented, and it didn't work well, and we had to cut the sequence out.
Oh, man. Now, this was an ingenious plan that Michael had to get out of this room.
Certainly was, wasn't it?
And of course, for the actual shot, we got George, right?
Well, he had to do some of the subsequent shots. Mike did the first one, which was the one that was used in the film. But, you know, I always insist on many takes, as many as we can do within reason, just to make sure we get these effects right, especially. And so
This I know, Don.
Yeah.
This
well,
I
you've
know.
borne the brunt of that, that philosophy, unfortunately.
Actually, you know, it's terrific because you, as an actor, you always know you're going to get the finest, you know, quality scene that you can possibly have.
You know, and it's true because in subsequent films that I've made with other casts, I've never understood why an actor would not want to do numerous takes. I know sometimes there's the physical discomfort, but in my mind, you know, it's a legacy, the film, and you'd want it to be your absolute positively best effort. And when somebody, you know, would refuse to do a take saying they've done it best, I just don't understand why they wouldn't try again.
Well, I think with some actors, they feel that they lose a freshness or a spontaneity with the lines.
Well, that's...
But, you know, I don't really feel that way. I think that more is better in that circumstance. Now, you're about to have a shotgun blasted right by you.
Yeah,
aren't
see,
you?
I've got some aluminum foil taped on my face to protect me.
Yes, this was a high-quality equipment shot here, huh?
Yeah, you can see me sitting
Get that
in the trunk.
tinfoil.
Boom.
No, put it on Don's head.
That's the way.
Oh, man.
This
look
is
at this.
Angus's first day of work, if
Oh,
you can believe it. His
this is
first
incredible.
time portraying the tall man. This is this first scene, first shot.
And
And yeah, it was a little strange because nobody had ever seen him with his game face on, with
Yeah.
that tall man look.
Uh-huh.
And the first one to see it was Mike. and he'd open the window and see it, and he would burst out laughing because it was so terrifyingly bizarre. And it was, I know it was a struggle for Angus that day because he was trying to stay in the character because he wanted to make that work. And he, was faced with this boy who was laughing at him on every take. But we persevered. We did numerous takes, and we got a really savage one. And then, of course, Angus would launch his body through the plate glass window.
I think he's going to do it. Oh, wow. Oh, man.
And then take two. Suffice to say, there were numerous takes after that. This is how we did the sphere sequence. We just have a pitcher who would actually throw the ball. And coming up are the very first camera tests. Here they are, in reverse of the ball flying. And when we started out to make this sphere sequence, none of us had any kind of experience working with a mirrored surface. And for the first day or so, we were literally trying to light the sphere. And suddenly someone came to the conclusion, the realization that a sphere, chrome sphere, is a mirror. And you don't light it, you light the surroundings. So what we had to do then is we put the light on the walls, and we actually put a fake wall in there, you'll see. And we drilled Ken Jones here with the sphere rig that was designed by Will Green. Here's the one rig that was not used, which had a padded head that the sphere would impact in, but it was just impossible
too thick and
to
bulky,
hide under the makeup, so we jettisoned that idea.
It's a nice car, is what it is.
340 4-speed.
That's a beauty.
Cuda.
And I remember driving that back from the Dunsmuir house, and it was raining, and the sunroof leaked. Oh my God, we were just soaked.
God. Well, this is one of the big quandaries we reached in making this film. One of the obstacles is this scene called for Angus to surprise Mike at the door, grab him by the throat, hoist him in the air, and carry him 20, 25 feet over and hurl him into the hearse. Well, that kid weighed at least 115 pounds, 120 pounds, and there's just no way Angus could hold him at arm's length. So, enter the camera dolly, and we handheld the camera and used the camera dolly to carry Mike out. And it worked just great.
It looked great. Yeah. It really did.
Took a little bit of choreography.
And it turned out great. Oh, I mean, it looked really good. It looked just like he was just being lifted right up,
hoist him right up.
With a lot of strength. Throw that kid in there. Now, this is a fun day. This was, Bill had just written, or, what he had of Sitting Here Till Midnight. I think he had done it the night before. And we had to do that sequence with the guitars, and we sat down about an hour before we filmed it, as I recall, put this thing together, and we added this little rock and roll sequence at the end to kind of give it an ending. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that song. And it's in the supplementary materials, I believe, also. Well, this was the big finale of the film, and obviously one of the real successful moments of Phantasm, which is the fact that Mike cannot escape the tall man or his creatures.
Oh, that's what's so frightening about the film, Don, is he's everywhere. I mean, you can't go anywhere where he's not. He's kind of omnipresent in that way. He's really an awesome character.
Well, even though it had overtones of sci-fi, basically the tall man is the embodiment of death, and you cannot escape it.
Yeah.
Here's our dwarf creature getting ready for his big scene. John Zampano, one of the grips, played the dwarf, and we had his hands made up.
Yeah, these scenes where you show people smoking in makeup, that's great. When I had the knife in me, it was really funny because there's I think a still of me having coffee with the knife coming out of my...
Right, that's great.
A lot of blood around. It looks funny.
Well, Mike was a real trooper. He put up with... We had 5 of these mirrored glasses, and he broke through all of them pretty savagely.
Boy.
The effect was great. Well, Reg, it's been great looking at these home movies with you.
Sure has.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
You bet, Don.